glad no one could see me just now. I'll tell everybody, I was pressing the little stand in front of me, trying to work to keep, the mouse on the laptop. And nothing
Well, you're a race car driver, right? All right. Well, we're going to.
Back of not Martin, like last 2 out of 3 weeks. So it wouldn't surprise me if I can't find the track better.
As long as we don't have a cat situation this time, So we're going to get right into questions here for Tyler. As a reminder, if you have one, raise your hand and we will get to as many as we can in our 10-minute window. Let's kick things off with John Newby. Go ahead, John.
Thank you. Tyler, these first 3 tracks are ones where you've consistently fought for top 10s, top 5s. What is your confidence level heading into your first playoffs?
It's good. The nice thing is that we're going back to a venue. Well, think about this. Well, in a way, we've been to all 3 of these tracks already this year. The third, Bristol, obviously, it was a little dustier for some reason the first time we were there earlier this year. But the speed that we had early at this race at Darlington in the beginning of summer, if you will, was really promising to know we were that good and still have missed the mark on where our car needed to be by that much. And so, I'm excited for sure going into that race. But even more excited about, is after all the chaos and everything kind of had passed at Daytona, we knew we were in, that night leading in the next morning, I was, I'll go, Bob Pockrass is probably taking a guess at where everyone's going to start. And seeing that, oh my gosh, this 5th place finish not only was good for, just to finally finish 5th in the top 5, at Daytona, but it looks like it's going to help our starting position at Darlington, where there's only, I think, 13 points between myself and 6th right now. You can see, I think we're going to see a lot of shakeup just right away in how tight everybody is and how it's going to spread out just in this first race at Darlington. So we're going to try and take advantage of that.
Perfect. Well, best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Alan Cavana. Go ahead, Alan.
Hey, Tyler. I know you weren't in the playoffs last year, but I'm just wondering if you noticed anything competitively or with intensity as a driver that maybe you can expect this time around, if there was something different.
Like out of the competition, or?
Yeah, does the intensity level raise up? Do you feel that as a driver? Is that something you actually experience, that you can sense around you, and can that help you this year, if at all?
Yes and no. I think I experienced this for sure when we ran the Southern 500 last year. We at times were racing, well, really, especially the first round for sure. We were racing around a lot of playoff cars all night long at Darlington, Bristol, especially once we were up in the top 5, trying to just, we aren't racing for what those guys are, but we're still racing to try and have a good finish for our progress and everything like that. So I think the intensity's there whether you're in the playoffs or not. When you're a playoff driver, you're racing really hard with those other playoff drivers, and it seemed like the guys outside of the playoffs understand what's going on. They're still going to race hard for their season, but the give and take is the mark is moved a little bit from where it is in the regular season up until that point. But I'd say either way you have it, it's just shaped a little bit differently depending on whether you're in the playoffs or not. When last year when I wasn't, felt like the playoff drivers, as they should, were racing me really hard for every single spot, because I essentially this 1 or 2 points at the end of the year ultimately doesn't dictate whether I make the next round or not. So it is different, but I wouldn't say it's more intense. It's just the intensity level is just with a certain group of drivers on one side and another in the playoffs.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our next question from Chris Estrada. Go ahead, Chris.
Tyler, thanks for joining us. Entering Michigan, you said you believed the 18 was running well enough to potentially reach the round of 8 if you got into the playoffs. So now that you're in, do you still feel like that consistency you've shown over the summer, whether it be getting the results or getting the stage points, do you still believe that can get you that far, or do you feel like you're going to need a win somewhere in these first 2 rounds to reach the round of 8 and go from there?
I would say at this moment, looking at how everything's seeded, if you will. Only 13 points as of right now separate myself to, I believe it's 6th. I hope I got that number right. So it's pretty tight. I mean, that can change in one stage, in one race, in just one part of these 3 race rounds in this playoff system. So we're obviously going to see new winners. We're going to see 3 winners this round of the playoffs and 3 winners in the round of 12. And that could certainly shake up, those numbers and where we're at in comparison. But, when you think about that 13-point gap right now over 3 races, I feel like we've been able to be consistent and gain a lot of points just over really a lot of the field over the course of summer. Yeah. You look at these 3 last races for myself, not exactly the most consistent for sure. Michigan, I flat out just made poor decisions. That it happens from time to time. And, is a nice little reality check, if you will, before the playoffs started of, okay, this is why we need to really stay on the plan that we have. So yeah, I feel good about it still. I mean, everyone's working really hard to set themselves up to really go out of the gates in the playoffs. So, obviously everyone's going to be probably a little bit faster or different than they've been the last 2 months. So, speeds out of some cars, out of some drivers may be different now. So I still feel good about it, but you never know until you're in it, for sure.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take our next question from Steve Schweitzer. Go ahead, Steve.
Tyler, congratulations on making the playoffs. The naysayers, I'm sure you heard, last man in, first man out. How would you respond to that? And is your strategy going to be maximize points as much as you can, or go all out for the win?
Well, I mean, I would say to win races, you need to, you need to be relevant all day long. The only places you can really pop in and steal wins are when fuel mileage has come into play in the past and super speedway races. So to win those races, you need to be, before winning races can happen, you need to be scoring a lot of points and running up front. And for most of this year, especially once we got it rolling the way it needed to be, we were running inside the top 10 a lot, having shots at, one pit stop or one decision here or there away from top 5s, which unfortunately haven't had a lot of those this year. But we've been right there, and little details will either make or break this playoff run for us. But I like where we've been going. I like how I still feel like we're still just improving, but we're right where we need to be at the right time for the start of this. And certainly don't feel like, looking at how we've ran, that we will be the first out. But again, it's not just a race against 15 other competitors. You're racing yourself. And now that we're in these playoffs, certainly it will be a lot easier to allow the pressure to get to us. But I'm not going to lie, Saturday was one of the most pressure-packed nights of my life, and I thought we handled it pretty well. Some may argue that, I needed to just be out the back and just, let everything happen. But, I mean, I can't get so caught up in Austin that I forget about there's 8 or 9 drivers up there that could have won and knocked us out. So I thought we handled that situation as well as we could. And, it makes us even more prepared and ready for this first round and the rounds after, if we can do our part and get there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tyler. Well, that's all the time we've got with you. Thank you so much for taking some time with us, and we wish you the best of luck in the playoffs.
All right. Thank you.